Welcome to Yesterday at the World Cup on Nigeria Superfans Forum. My name is Olufemi Ashalu. Of course, it is our daily show where we come around to look at games that were played at the ongoing 2020 FIFA World Cup yesterday. And interesting results, of course, yesterday, Tunisia against all odds, but unfortunately for the Carthagicals, it was not enough for them to go through to the knockout phase. So Kaido Gundari and James Agberebi, they are around and they're joining me via video. Guys, you are welcome to Yesterday at the World Cup.
Thank you, Femi. Good morning. It's nice to be here.
Always a pleasure, Femi.
All right. Okay, so there's no better place to start other than, of course, Tunisia. Kayode, we yesterday when we came around on yesterday at the World Cup, we said it would be difficult for Tunisia to get one over France. And remember that we also established the fact that their destiny was no longer even in their hands if they eventually got one over France. And of course, that was what actually played out.
Yeah, like I said, it's typical of them. They always leave everything to the last minute. If they hadn't lost the game against Australia, they would be in a stronger position to go through. Although I'm not too sure if they would have been able to beat France or not. But you know what? I saw a Tunisia that was very, very determined, that played as if all of their lives depended on that one game. And it actually depended on it, although their destiny was no longer in their hands, like we said. They had really, after the second game against Australia, after they started the competition with a draw against Denmark, which was very, very encouraging. Then they lost against Australia, which was very, very surprising. And the game you expected them to lose by a wide margin was one that they now won. So that inconsistency has always been a hallmark of Tunisia, and it cost them so dearly in this competition. They are going to, that's Africa's sport lost now. Hopefully, in the next 4 years, when the world gather together in the joint host countries of the US, Canada, and Mexico, hopefully they will be there again and they will do better. And I hope they would have learned lessons, because most of the things that happened at this World Cup to Tunisia were things we talked about before the competition started. So it was as if we were prescient or something, or we knew we could see the future. So why wouldn't they change? They have a pretty decent side. They played well, all things being considered. And you know what? So people will say if France had needed that result, they would have won. I don't share that belief, because if they didn't want to win the game, they wouldn't have brought in the Mbappe and every other person that they brought into the game. Besides, those who started the game were also Frenchmen. They didn't go to Burkina Faso to bring them. So for me, it was just that the fact was France lost the game, not that a second team or a first team or a third team lost. So for me, hopefully they can do better. Let's just wish them better luck next time. That's all.
Okay, all right, James. I remember yesterday when we were doing preview for that game, you said it is typical of Tunisia to win one game, draw one, and lose one. That was what actually played out. But why do the Tunisians have to wait until that last game before they put on the kind of spirited effort we saw yesterday?
Well, I think they should be in a better position to answer that, because it's always a recurring situation with them. You know that in every World Cup groups, they must at least lose 1 or 2 games. Then they start fighting in the final game to see if they can pull through. They don't have that consistency. It's as if they can't put back-to-back performances together. They must either lose one, draw one, then manage to win another. You know. So that yesterday's game was their 3rd ever victory at the World Cup. You know, their first game in 1978. They won against Panama in Russia. Then this one, but unfortunately, this one was. Unfortunately, it didn't help them to pull through. If you take out that game, they did really well in all the games they played. They were not outplayed, but like we said before the tournament, if you don't score goals, I mean, it will come back to haunt you. And when you now your destiny is no longer in your hands, I mean, and you start after you're playing. I saw some Tunisian players at the pitch side going through trying to check the result for the other game. You know, so which means they had a divided mind. You know, so at the point after the result filtered in about the other scoreline, what they were now celebrating about was the victory against France. At least they didn't leave the competition without a win. That was the kind of consolation for them. But it was so painful because they came so close. They did very well, but when you don't try to put in a back-to-back performances, I mean, you play well this match, the next match you lose it or you draw, you always end up in situations like this. I know, and at the end of the day, they were able to score just one goal, and in the 3 games they play, which is not good enough at all. For you to do well in the group stage, you have to score a couple. Look at what even helped Poland was the fact that the 2 goals that they scored came to play for them. The goals they scored against Saudi Arabia, So when it comes to goal defense, we are able to still have a say. But for Tunisia, I mean, 1 goal was just not good enough. Fine, they defeated France, the reigning world champion, but I mean, they still crashed out. I mean, so they've never qualified from the group stage at the World Cup, which is not a good record at all. For a team that always qualify for the World Cup, but when you get there, you must be one of the teams the early birds, people that will come back home. I mean, so better luck next time. I know the next World Cup, I have the belief that they will qualify because the number of African teams that will be at the World Cup, I think they will always be that team that always have that luck to qualify. But when they get to the World Cup, it's another different story entirely. So I just hope that they would have learned their lessons, and then maybe next one they will be able to qualify from the group stage.
Okay. Kayode, I think one team that I expected so much from at this tournament is Denmark because of what they did at I think Euro 2020. But losing to Australia. Australia, of course, yesterday qualified for the knockout phase for the second time in their World Cup history. I think Denmark, for me, I don't know what you think, but I think they underperformed as much as Belgium in this tournament. I don't know what you think, Kayode.
Incidentally, I'm not sure. I think results didn't go their way. Not that their performance was out and out bad like that, Femi. I saw their 3 games. As a matter of fact, I saw them against Morocco, against France, and sorry, I said Morocco. I saw them against Tunisia, against France, and against Australia. In all of those 3 games, they did excellently well, relatively well, since the results didn't go their way. But so you see, sometimes these things happen for me. You do well, you do your bit, but results will not just come. Where it mattered most was when it came down to the final game against Australia. They knew that it was a winner takes all. If they had won that game, there was no doubt about it. They were going to qualify, and they just lacked that cutting edge. I saw them play yesterday. I was watching and I was shaking my head that this team didn't. The build-up play was good. The approach was good. The mentality was fine until they get into the final third of the pitch, and that's where everything just falls apart, time and time again. So I will not qualify their performance as a total failure. Although since they are going home. By this morning now, according to FIFA rules, they must vacate their hotels. They must vacate their hotels by this morning. They give you a 24-hour notice once you are out of the competition. If you stay longer than that, then it will be on your home bill, not FIFA being responsible for anything again. So as they go home today, they will reminisce over it and understand that they could have been in the competition if they had just applied themselves more. But like I said earlier, these things happen for me. Sometimes, no matter how you try, you can't just win everything. That's what I think.
Okay. James, let's talk about Argentina. Of course, after that embarrassing, I would say embarrassing, though it wasn't a huge scoreline against them, but losing to Saudi Arabia, I think it will still go down as one of the memories. I beg your pardon. That a lot of people will take away from this World Cup. But Argentina, they've literally come back from the dead, defeating Mexico. And of course, yesterday they got 2-0 victory over Poland. And they eventually made it like a lot of people actually thought that the Argentines will make it to the knockout phase.
Yeah, good one for them. I think the defeat to Saudi Arabia, I think it has turned out to be a blessing in disguise for them, because like every game they play now is like a final for them. They are trying to prove a point to everybody that they are a very good team. If you watch all the 3 games they played, including the one against Saudi Arabia, they dominated the game. But the one against Saudi, it was so shocking that they lost. But if you check out the second game and third game, they dominate from the blast of the whistle. So we goes to show that they mean business now. They are just it's like forward ever now. They're not looking back. They want to smash any team that comes their way, and they've been doing very, very well. So just like what happened to Spain in the 2010 World Cup, they went in as one of the favorites. They lost their first game to Switzerland, and they from then they just went straight to the final and won the cup. So I think Argentina, they're towing that line now, and it's a good thing that at least they've proved that they are not a bad side. That they decide that in face of adversity they can bounce back, which they've done very well, and they were able to top the group, and now they are in the round of 16. So I mean, it's anybody that want to come up against them now, that you have a fight in your hand. That is a team that has a mission. The mission is to win the World Cup, and they are doing everything possible to make sure that mission is accomplished. So a good one for them. Their game against Poland. I was shocked that I read somewhere that Poland did not even get one shot on target. You have to show you how dominant the Argentines were all over them,
Sorry, James. Okay. I'm not sure if it was down to the dominance of Argentina. It was down to the negative tactics of the Polish team. Like I observed, I don't know whether I was talking to Femi or somebody else in the course of the game. I said I have never seen a much more negative team than this Polish team. They practically abandoned Lewandowski up front, and they packed 9 players
10 men behind the ball.
Behind the ball. So that's why I'm not surprised that they did not have any goal on target. And I said, as the game progressed, I said, I'm not sure for how long you can continue to defend like this without any ambition of your own. As if you think if you defend for 90 minutes, it's sure that you're going to get something out of the game. But then you have to think about the team you are playing. This is a team that is unrelenting, a team that is also not too sure of its own qualification. If Argentina had 6 points before they played Poland yesterday, probably they would have not had that kind of intensity. But because they were also not very sure of their own qualification yet, don't forget that they were on 3 points going into that game. The same point, Poland were actually on 4. And they knew that Mexico was likely going to beat Saudi Arabia and also get to 4. So Argentina wanted to be sure, to be doubly sure of their own situation. So they had to be unrelenting for 90 minutes plus, and they raised their game and they deservedly won. Femi, in times like this, I'm happy that football wins at the end of the day, because if one team is so negative and decides not to play football, and the other team is actually trying to play, the team that tries to play deserves to win, and that's what we saw yesterday, Femi.
Okay, Kayode, let's talk about Saudi Arabia. They look like a set of people who went to war, and they exhausted all the ammunition they took with them after defeating Argentina in their opening game. Since then, they've lost back-to-back games, and of course, they have also been eliminated from the competition now. What do you think actually went wrong? Was it that they were carried away by the victory over the Lionel Messi side?
As a matter of fact, they were not carried away, Femi. The game against Argentina was a one-off. That game, they won't be winning that game every other day. They won against Argentina that day, probably because of the mentality of the Argentines. The Argentines thought, the Argentines thought they would just stroll onto the pitch, beat them, and collect the 3 points at stake. And there's a way nature works that it shocked them, and they bounced back. But then the Saudis, who actually were punching above their weight, now have been brought down to where they belong. None of those teams in the group, whether it's Argentina, Mexico, or Poland, that will not beat Saudi every day of the week. But in football, things like this happen once in a while. And I still insist, like I was discussing with somebody when he said that there are no minnows in football. I said, no, there are minnows in football. Although once in a while we see this kind of shock results, then at the end of the day, there's a factory resetting and everybody will go back to where they actually belong. And that's where Saudi Arabia is now. In fact, they're lucky to have beaten, that was what I was trying to say the other day, that the fact that they beat Argentina and they were all praising the manager, is this. I said, well, I challenge him to go back and please that same Argentina and see what the outcome will be. Once in a while, these things happen, Femi, but then it doesn't mean all of a sudden you are now a superpower. No. these things will happen once in a while, and then you win, you enjoy the euphoria, and then you come back to earth. That's what has happened in this case.
Okay. After that beach over Argentina, I was thinking that maybe this Saudi side will be able to record the same feat that the likes of Wairon did at the 1994 World Cup. Guys, let's talk about. We have 3 African countries left in the tournament now. Morocco will be playing Canada. Canada already eliminated, so we hope that at least they will not be firing in all cylinders against Morocco today. So Morocco will pray that they will be able to get something. But guys, quickly, let's talk about that game. James, Morocco, after that famous win over Belgium, no one also saw that coming. What do you think the Moroccans need to do? Because at least Senegal, they've actually took the lead. They showed other African countries what they should do in that 2-1 win over Ecuador. Do you think Morocco should be able to replicate that today against Canada?
Yeah, they should. Should take enough confidence from the game against Belgium. But one mistake they must not make to go into that game relying on getting, because a point is enough for them. But they must not go into that game thinking let's play defensive. They should give the approach, the same approach they did against Belgium. They should do the same thing against Canada. Canada has nothing to lose. They will just go there and enjoy themselves. And such games can be affect because you see have. Croatia and Belgium, these 2 teams, they have big chances of qualifying. So Morocco, the good thing is they have their destiny in their hands. So it's what they do with the destiny now. That's another thing. So they must not go into that game, like I said, thinking of just nicking a point. They must go all out to get all the 3 points and try and top the group. There's nothing stops them from topping the group. So it's very, very important. Canada, they are going home, but they're a team that they can play. And if this kind of a team should score you first, you have to sweat before you come back to defeat them. Croatia too, they went through that, though they won, but how long it took them before they were able to start scoring the goal. So Morocco should not make that mistake of coming behind or getting too complacent. They've not qualified yet. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. They might find themselves heading home. So they should just try and do the needful. Like I said, their destiny is in their hands. They just have to go out there, get the job done, and secure qualification. Because the last time they qualified from the group stage was 1986. That's a long, long time ago. So nothing stops them from replicating the same feat. And they're in a very good position to do that. And I believe they have what it takes to go through.
Okay. Kayode, I won't be asking you about Morocco. I'll be asking you about Belgium because I think they are the second highest ranked team coming into this tournament. They finished third at the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Now, there's something I heard yesterday that a number of players in the Belgium team do not even talk to one another. I heard that Romelu Lukaku and Michy Batshuayi do not even speak. I heard that Leandro Trossard and of course Eden Hazard do not talk. I heard that Kevin De Bruyne and of course this Real Madrid goalkeeper, what's his name now? Thibaut Courtois do not even speak. Yeah, I heard that they do not even speak. So if you have 6 players in a team who are not even in good terms, do you think other teams in this Belgium would have profited from this so-called disunity in the Belgian side?
I think it's a clash of too many egos. The manager has proven that he has lost the locker room. He's in charge officially, but he's not in charge, Femi. He has lost the moral authority to lead the team. And like I said after this competition, wherever they get kicked out, he should just hand in his resignation letter, or they should sack him outright without pay. Because despite the abundance of talent that they have not achieved what they are capable of achieving. And this generation that they call the golden generation, after the 1986 set, they are gradually facing off. The Hazards and all of them, they are growing older. But Kevin De Bruyne, all of them are not getting younger. So at the end of the day, they will face out without winning anything meaningful. So if that's the problem, then they should actually help the process. Anyway, one thing about the Belgians is they know how to reinvent themselves, and I'm very sure that they're going to do this very, very well. I don't have any doubt about that. And they are still in the competition for me. They still have a very good chance of going through. And that's where, like James said, Morocco have to be very, very, very careful. because nothing is won, nothing is lost yet. All of the three teams have a very good chance of going through, except for Canada, who are out and out. Canada do not have any chance. Then Morocco have 4 points, Croatia have 4 points, Belgium have 3. If Belgium are able to beat Morocco, they jump to 6 points. Belgium Croatia will be on 3. If Canada beats Morocco, Morocco will remain on 4, but then they could be edged out of the competition on goal difference or whatever. So they have to be very, 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 very careful. Nothing is won yet. Nothing is won yet. I hope they know that all they need is actually a draw. They need just 1 point to be sure of qualifying. But who says they cannot take all 3 and be sure of a first place in the team in the group? Because that for me will make them avoid some tricky opposition in the round of 16. That's what I think they should be aiming for.
Okay. Kyle, quickly before we go, you were talking about earlier before we came on air or on the show. You were telling me about some rules change that FIFA will be implementing in Qatar. Can you take us through before we round up?
Yes, Femi, I think this is what everybody should know about, so that we don't get confused. In case there are tiebreakers, like maybe 2 teams end up on the same point, now it's not direct head-to-head that they will use any longer. The regulation states some steps that have to be taken, some conditions that have to be met. So in a way, according to the tiebreakers for this competition, let me quickly read this, Femi, if you permit me. He said in league format, the ranking of teams in each group is based on the following criteria. That means points. Who has the more points will naturally go through the first 2. So where they are in a situation where there are 2 or more teams who have the same points, let's say in this case, probably Morocco and Belgium end up on the same number of points and Croatia are ahead of them, then the next thing will be overall goal difference. Not direct goal difference between the 2 teams, unlike it was before, Femi. Now it is overall goal difference in the group. If they are still tied, after that, they will not take who has scored more goals. Not overall goal difference again. Who has scored more goals? That's the 3rd step. If they are still tied after that 3rd step, then that will now go to the points in matches between the 2 teams. You understand? So that will that's the direct head-to-head that we used to know. If they tie, maybe the game between them ended in a draw, like it did between Morocco and Croatia, then we go to the next consideration. Away goal scored in matches between tied teams. That will now be technical. Who was designated as the home team and who was designated as the away team? That still remains unable to break to break the tie, then we go to fair play points. Fair play points means how many yellow cards you have. If you have 1 yellow card, that's -1 point. If you have an indirect red card, that's 2nd yellow card, that's -3 points. If you have a direct red card, that's -4 points. If you have yellow card and direct red card, that's -5 points. So the accumulation of cards will also determine. This was used again for Senegal in 2018. Actually, they were edged out by Japan. This is not new. Then, if after all these 8 steps they are still tied, Femi, then the LOC, the organizing committee, will now throw lots between the 2 teams. That is, they will throw a coin for them. Whoever wins will go through. And we have also seen this before. In 1995, the Golden Eagles of Nigeria, the under-17 teams at Ecuador 95, they were hedged out by Costa Rica on a toss of a coin. They ended
I think Iguabu was our coach then, right? Iguabu took us to
that 2003 in Finland.
No, the first time it happened was in 1995. It's something like that happened. Then in 2003 in Finland, that was the team Iguabu led. That same thing happened. So for me, these are things that have happened before. But FIFA they have now converged everything under one rules and regulations to break ties. So everybody should be conversant of this rule, Femi, that the fact that we had a direct head-to-head does not automatically mean you go through, I go through. We have to follow all these steps one after the other.
Thank you very much, Carol. So there you have it. You get the best right here on Nigeria Super Fans Forum. And of course, They said the only constant in life is change, and that is what FIFA is trying to go by. But honestly, it's been a fantastic World Cup in Qatar. Guys, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much, Femi.
Thank you, Femi.
Okay, so our fans around the world, please watch out for our exclusive preview of Ghana's game tomorrow. Of course, they'll be playing their final Group H game against Uruguay tomorrow. Of course, Cameroon will also be facing Brazil, almighty Brazil tomorrow. But I heard that Coach Tite is ready to rest all his first team players. So we hope that maybe Cameroon will be able to stand a chance of making it to the next round. So until we see you later in our preview of Ghana's game. Bye for now.